past weekend, Sony released their latest Marvel film. That means today we're going to stop and rank all 7 Sony Marvel films from the worst to the best. While I'm talking, be sure to put your ranking down below in the comments section. We're going to disagree, and that's the fun part, that we can discuss these movies that we all love in a respectful fashion. Speaking of that, if you like to talk about movies way too much, you're probably in the right place. Consider clicking that subscribe button if you haven't already. With that said, let's get started. Coming in last place is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is an incredibly frustrating movie for me because there's clearly a movie that Mark Webb wanted to make in the movie the studio wanted to make. Mark Webb was making a movie about relationships, and when it was doing that, it's excellent. I think the chemistry between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield is incredible. But then there's the movie the studio wanted to make, which was a setup film for a bunch of spin-offs that never happened. Now, the film does have some strong action sequences and some of the emotional moments hit really hard, but the villain set here is very weak. The Rhino is essentially just a cameo, and it's really just Paul Giamatti screaming. Then Jamie Foxx's version of the Electro feels tonally different from the rest of the film, and essentially it's this villain trope that we saw before in Batman Forever, The Incredibles, and Iron Man 3, and then the Green Goblin feels, well, a little bit too much like a literal goblin. The end result is a film that has some excellent elements, but just does not satisfy. In 6th place is Spider-Man 3. This is a film that feels like a great team that was running a little bit low on creative fuel at the time they were making it, and once again, you can feel the studio interference. When it comes to the emotional and relational aspects of the film, it feels a little bit like we're retreading themes of the previous 2 films in regards to Peter and Mary Jane's relationship, Harry's anger, as well as the death of Uncle Ben. But where I think the movie really suffers is that there's too many villains in the film and the plot lines don't fully connect properly. A big part of that is that Sam Raimi's openly stated he did not want to do the Venom storyline, but the studio told him he had to. And you can see that in the end result here, whether the cheesiness, the goofiness, or the total misuse of Venom. At the same time, there's still moments in this movie that really do work, and it does kind of bookend that first film pretty well. So while it does have a lot of issues, just like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think it's a little bit more satisfying in the end. Coming in at number 5 is Venom. This is a very interesting movie because the things it has to get right, it gets right, and pretty much everything else is kind of a mess. What I mean by that is you go see this movie because you want to see Venom eat people, crack jokes, and that weird relationship between Venom and Eddie Brock, and the movie delivers on that. The story, however, is all over the place. It has plot holes, there's lapses in the timeline, in the logic of it. The tone is very confused. The movie's kind of like spicy food. Some people are gonna love it and enjoy the fact that it's hot, and other people are gonna just think that it's gross and want to throw it away. I find myself fascinated by this film. The movie delivers something very unique that I do enjoy, while at the same time, the movie critic side of me says, there's a lot of problems here. So I'm a little bit like Eddie Brock, torn with 2 voices in my head pulling me in different directions on this one. At number 4 is The Amazing Spider-Man. For me, this is a good film with an excellent cast, but it lacks anything unique to distinguish it from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. They tried to add into the mix kind of this mystery about Peter Parker's parents and added a little bit of a darker, angstier tone to it, but none of that makes for what you really want from a Spider-Man film. But like I said, the cast here is amazing, in particular our 2 leads. What makes the relationship between Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker so special here is that it doesn't feel like 2 people acting inside of a comic book movie. They just have such a natural, organic chemistry that you believe that this is a real relationship between 2 people. The main plotline with the lizard is good enough. It's not excellent, but it's not really bad either, and it provides just enough enough moments for Spider-Man to do some cool Spider-Man type things. For me, this is a movie that I think at times gets a little bit too much hate, and at the same time, I wish it had a little bit more spark to it. Real quick before I tell you my top 3, be sure to put your ranking down below in the comment section. Also, after this video, check out this playlist above. It has all of my best Spider-Man rankings, videos, reviews, all of that fun stuff. If you like this video, there's some stuff in there that you will absolutely love. Bringing us into the top 3 is Spider-Man 2. I know for some of you, having this film in 3rd place is way too low, and this is a bit of an unpopular opinion. With that said, I still think that this is a very good movie, and when I think of great sequels that continue the first film, Spider-Man 2 is one of the films that comes to mind. It continues and builds on the relationships, the storylines, and the themes of the first film in exactly the way that I think sequels should. Also, the train sequence in the film I think is excellent. It's one of the best directed action sequences in any comic book movie of all time. The film's storylines flow together naturally and has a nice pacing to it. The reason it comes in at number 3 is I have just never bought into the plot line about Peter Parker losing his powers for psychological reasons. There's some basis in reality for that type of thing happening, but the way it plays out in the movie just doesn't work for me, and I just simply do not buy it. But that's just some minor squabbles in an otherwise terrific film. Our runner-up is Spider-Man Homecoming. For me, this is probably the most fun and rewatchable film on this list. It just captures the idea of an actual high school superhero. What would happen if a teenager had superpowers, had to go to high school, and then was kind of fighting crime at nighttime and had ties to Tony Stark and the Avengers? And I think Tom Holland captures this naive, innocent Peter Parker very well. Adding to that, Michael Keaton's Vulture is one of the more personal villains we've ever seen inside of a superhero movie. It creates a scenario where you feel the stakes, there's tension, there's conflict, but it's not because they're just trying to outdo other superhero movies, and that just makes for a very distinct place inside of the genre. Honestly, having rewatched this film many times now, my only real issue with the film is the Iron Man Spidey suit. I don't particularly care for that direction. Otherwise, this movie is an absolute blast. But coming in at number 1 is the original Spider-Man. For me, this is just a classic, iconic superhero origin story. Sam Raimi kind of hits something special with this film. Inside of the comic book genre, it has a very distinct tone and feel to it because it has this Sam Raimi vibe to it. Along the way, you also get Danny Elfman's excellent score that just becomes the music that you think of when you think of Spider-Man. Well, besides that jingle, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. For me personally, I'm a sucker for origin stories, and this is a very good one that incorporates the villain throughout the entire story. He's established early on in the film as someone connected to Peter Parker, and we see his origin story as well. For me, this story of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man through accident, through tragedy, and through transformation that causes him to make sacrifices hits all of the right notes. So for me, this is distinctly the best of the Sony Marvel films. Remember to check out that playlist right over there of my best Spider-Man rankings and reviews. Click that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.